Hi everybody, this is Barry for Knitting for Love, and this is a follow-up video of my basket weave video. And today I'm going to show you how I made this wallet, which is holding some cards here. And I'm going to show you how to do this. And if you know how to need a refresher on how to do the basket weave, you can go on my previous video uploaded. But this basket weave is actually a 20 stitch cast on. So there are 20 stitches here to cast it on, and I've done the basket weave stitch for about, just let me measure this for you, 9 inches. So what you'll need for this pattern is you're going to need your knitting needles, yarn of your choice, measuring tape, sewing needle, and a pair of scissors. So the first step was that I knitted the entire strip of this basket weave. Now I also bind off in pattern, so that's why both sides look identical. And it kept its nice little ridgy pattern all the way around it. And I'm going to show you how to bind off once you get to that point and you finish your 9 inches in a cast on 20 rows. I'm going to show you how I bound off. Now, in this case, these 2 stitches are going, this was my set of 4 stitches. So now I'm going to repeat step 1. And step 1 has us moving these 2 stitches to another hook, which we're still going to do, even though we're binding off. We're just going to move them to the front, so CF4, and then we're going to knit this stitch, and then we're going to knit this stitch. So we're going to knit the 2 stitches, and then we're going to carry over that first stitch. So we're going to bind off in the normal way, but we're also binding off in pattern. So I'm going to slip these 2 stitches back over here. And then I'm going to knit the next stitch, pass it over, knit the next stitch, pass it over. Now again, I'm going to take these 2 stitches and move them to the front, and I'm going to bind off the next 2 stitches, and I'm going to put these 2 back on the knitting needles, and now I'm going to bind off these 2 stitches. And this will leave your pattern intact all the way up. So that way you don't have to worry about, oh my God, the edge is not finished right. And as you can tell, it's bound off in its pattern. So last 2, I'll complete this for you. Is move those 2 stitches forward, bind off the next 2 stitches. And then we've got 2 left. So let me just bind this one. And then we're gonna bind off these 2 stitches. And I have a bind off if you need help with binding off, I have an uploaded video of binding off. Now, when you go to bind off, leave plenty to sew with. That's my thing, is I leave a tail long enough to sew up my projects together here. So I don't have to worry about, oh my God, I ran out of yarn. So we're just going to pull this through here. And pull it through. So now you can see that my little tiny swatch here is, I bind it off in pattern. Now, I have a little trick on how to pick up stitches. So once you've bound off, now you're going to be working on the inside of this wallet. And how I did this, and this is just a flat stockinette stitch, but as you can tell, I did not disrupt my pattern on the outside. So I'm going to show you how I picked this up using this little swatch, how I picked up my stitches. And what I did was I actually used a sewing needle, so to pick up my stitches with, to create new stitches. I thread my sewing needle, and I did not cut it. I laid wherever I wanted my knitting to be. I kind of laid it across here, and I went in one stitch, one tiny little stitch, and I kind of draped it over. Now I'm going to find another one. And I'm just sewing around my knitting needle. As you can tell, there's one stitch. And I'm going to do another one. And I'm only picking up the stitches on the back side of my work. I'm not pulling it all the way through to the front side of the work because I don't want these stitches interrupted. So basically I'm going to do this again. So I'm going to find another one. And as you can tell, I'm only picking up a loop, just anywhere. And I'm making sure my needle goes under my needle, under my knitting needle, and over. And now I have 3 casted on here. So what I've done here was I picked up 20 stitches here. And now when I got several rows up to wherever I like, you can put this all the way at the top if you want to make an individual pocket. If you like, I also took and sewed the top half of this to the top inside of the stitches, so you can't, it's not going to come up anywhere. So this needs to be blocked once you're done, which I have not done yet. I haven't blocked this yet, which I plan on it. But now I'm going to show you how I made this opening, because I have a little swatch here I started with. And this is your next step, is once you get to wherever you want to make the opening, you're going to make the opening. So basically, I'm going to knit. In this case, I knitted 2. The third one I knitted, that's the one I started binding off. So the 4th one I knitted, I bound off with the 3rd stitch. Then I got all the way here, and I got to the last 2 stitches on my needle and knitted 2 here. So I'm going to show you basically that same way of how to binding off in the middle and picking it back up. So I've knit 1, and I guess I twisted that. Knit 2, knit 3, and now I'm going to bind off the next 5 stitches. So basically you want to knit that first of the 5, knit the next one, pull this one over. So we're going to start binding off in the middle of a row. But I'm also going to show you how to cast those stitches back on. So let's just bind this off. As you can tell, it's making a nice little opening here. You would do the same method if you were making buttonholes or anything else that requires you to make a slit in the middle of your work. So I've got 3 here, so I'm going to knit this last one. That way I have 3 on both sides of my work. So this is what you're going to look like, is you're going to have this opening where you have all these bind offs. Now on the purl side, I've done this a little differently than probably most people would, but I purled the first 3, because this is your flat side, so I purled the first 3. Now you can use any stitch you want. You might want to use a garter stitch for this so it doesn't have a roll. Your preference. You can use any pattern you want. You can use a cable pattern even. But what I've done now is I've turned my work back to facing me. And I dropped off 5. So I'm going to cast on 5. So I'm going to knit the first stitch. And then I'm going to actually not pull it. I'm going to drop, twist, turn, and drop that stitch back on that hook. And pull a little. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it again. So we're going to knit this stitch. And put it back on the hook. So this is a knit cast on. And I'm going to do it again. Until I have the same number of stitches that I started with. So I've casted on 3 so far. This is the 4th one. And then this is the 5th one. Now that I have my 5 stitches back where I need them, I'm going to turn my work back around to the purl side. And now I'm going to just purl the next 3. And that closes up my work. And now I have a floating opening for a pocket or a button or whatever. In this case, I have my pocket. And then I'll keep knitting and bind off, and then I will, since I don't have to sew the top of this on, because I've actually picked up the stitches from the bottom, I just have to sew this on, and sew the sides, and sew this top half. And you're going to do the same thing for both halves, and you're done. Well, I hope you found this video very interesting, and I hope you try this for yourself, and again, it holds cards, you know. I've got cards to put in here, you know, and it's perfect. So, yeah, that's it. You'll be done. And somebody will love this as a great gift. And, you know, Valentine is coming up, and this might make a great gift for him. You know, men like wallets. So basically you can make this for him. And he'll think about you every single time he pulls out his brand new wallet that he's got a handmade wallet. Well, happy knitting. Any questions, please leave comments below in the comment section. And please like, share, subscribe, and happy knitting. Bye now.